Oh, that's a cool artist. Oh man, one day I'm gonna be as good as them. Any moment now. Screw that! We ain't got time for waiting. We're gonna clench our sketchy hands into fists and start becoming good right now. Neytirix is really cool, and me and you wanna learn from that a little. For that reason, I analyzed hundreds of Ney's drawings and even supported on Patreon to see the speed page. I've summarized my thoughts into 4 easy steps to follow. I've reconstructed brushes Ney uses and even found a massive time-saving tip. Here's how I drew before, and here's what I drew using the new knowledge. Well, fellas, why don't we begin? I know it may be scary. The scale of your dreams might be overwhelming. Or maybe you fear to waste your time. The truth is, it doesn't take a miracle to get a little better. It is never too late to do something that will make you happy. All you have to do is to take a single step forward. Yo, a quick side note. I'm not a professional and I am completely self-taught. In this video I am mostly showing how I teach myself. I hope it helps. Moving on. When analyzing anyone's style, it is important to look not at just what the artist does, but also ask yourself the question why. I know it is fun to learn about the brushes and special effects, but you need to understand the why something happens before you can carry that to other styles and to grow. Any character design starts with some wacky sketches. They might not look good at first, but it's okay. The goal is to just get the ideas out on the canvas. Neytirix draws quickly because she has optimized her process. First of the notable things is a MISC folder. Whenever Ney makes a significant change in her drawing, she copies and drops her current progress into this folder. This was a big deal for me when I first learned about it. I often find myself paralyzed when I need to redraw a chunk of my character. I'm afraid I'm gonna screw it all up, but creating this folder made it easier to experiment, as I know I can always take a step back and start over. One other thing I noted was a gray layer at 50% opacity. It simulates the layer transparency, so you don't need to go and lower the opacity of each individual layer. You can just grab this gray ball and drop it wherever you need it. Neytirix starts the redesigns by searching for the silhouette of the character. It is, after all, what makes the OC recognizable. Silhouette might tell a whole story if done correctly. So focus on making it good before moving to the next step. Take a big brush and focus on big shapes. This will keep you from going too much into details and allow you to experiment faster. What you can do on this step to save time later is to break the scene into planes, deciding what will be closer and require details and what will be in the back and could be simplified. Time to clean things up and add some lines. And Neytirix doesn't use any fancy brushes for this step. To draw in her style, all you need is a regular round brush with opacity turned on. In fact, this very cat was done entirely using the default brush. I can only assume that Neytirix decides the direction of light in a drawing all the way in the sketch phase. But I did notice that she makes thicker lines in areas where the shadows would naturally fall. This adds depth to the character even before the coloring. Plus, because the opacity is turned on, color will seep from underneath the lines and makes them softer. In this step, it's easy to get lost in the details. Good to note that design will look cluttered if you don't add any empty areas or areas of rest. A lesson you might take from Neytirix is that she draws the most amount of details only near the focal points of the image. And I actually have never seen other artists just leave whole parts of the character completely dark. But here we are. It guides the eye of the viewer, saves Ney a bit of time, but most importantly, it comes in handy in the coloring phase. Choosing colors was always a struggle for me. Not only each hue has a different value and requires constant checking in black and white, Color itself is also relative, so what you choose on the color picker may look vastly different on the actual canvas. But Neytirix's approach allowed me to regain control over my color choices and made it easier overall. Here's what she does. Ney lays down flat colors on the character, but purposefully picks darker and less saturated versions of them. This color theory trick comes from the fact that grays harmonize with each other naturally. This was beautifully explained in 10 minutes for better painting by Marco Bocci, but I truly understood this lesson only now. I would describe this process as a slow-growing hill. The gentler the hill, the easier it is to control your color choices and the easier they harmonize with each other. Often enough, Neytirix doesn't even cross the 50% saturation mark. Of course, this method might not work for every character. Gray's skin, for example, might look dead, so use overlay and multiply layers to adjust things as you go. Alrighty, for the light step, I am going to focus at the specific lighting scenario. In many of Neytirix's redesigns, you may see that she uses a strong light source that illuminated the character from one side. It is done rather simply through color dodge layer mode. Light is placed strategically so that it frames the character, separating them from the background. And the biggest time-saving tip from this method is, you don't need to worry about shadows. Here's what I mean. Our minds play a trick on us. The halftone in the light areas of the shadow and the dark areas of the light often have the same value, and yet we perceive them as different. So, after adding the light layer, the line art defines the darkest areas of the character, and the rest of the colors suddenly come together as our brain starts messing with us. But this trick isn't the only thing that this type of lighting takes advantage of. In fact, color relativity also plays a significant role here. What do you think this color is? Guess right? Probably not. It looks green because our mind overcorrects the grayish color in our head, making us perceive it as a different hue. And since all our flat colors are a little bit gray, we start seeing them a little bit differently after we add a strong light. And because the perceived color can differ from the actual color you see, it makes sense to make color adjustments only after the lighting step. I can make a whole another video explaining why this happens. Tell me in the comments if you want me to talk about it. A great tool for color adjustments is curves. However, it adjusts the entire layer you apply it to, so it's a good idea to make a copy of that layer and use layer masks to erase parts as needed. I still have a lot to learn. I'll be honest with you, the lighting didn't turn out as I planned every time I tried it. But hey, you and me are only learning. Neytirix drew as good as I do right now a decade ago. So don't be too hard on yourself, okay? Now, the piece is almost ready. Time for a cherry on top. Add all the glows, blooms and blurs. Maybe they will fix all my anatomy mistakes I made in the sketching phase. Of course they will. The first thing we will do so our piece would become the prettiest of them all is add color dodge and multiply. They are needed to separate parts of your piece from each other, adding contrast and depth. Secondly, you can't go wrong with adding a little bit of grit, the crunchiness to the piece. Adding noise on an overlay layer can give your piece a little bit extra texture, making it look less digital. Also, you may add chromatic aberration, aka color fridging, aka glitch effect, whatever you want to call this. It can be done in many ways. Personally, I do it through lens correction. And a couple of last things I'm gonna mention are: blur the background, add some smoke here and there, drop some floating particles in the air, experiment, stay true to yourself, and you, my friend, will be successful. Oh well, at the end of the day, we love Neytirix for who she is, not because of some crazy art tricks. She's just honest with her audience. There's no trend chasing, she's just herself. To each character Ney redesigns, she comes up with a small story for them. And I think this what makes them so endearing. Honestly, I wouldn't ask for more. Neytirix makes me believe that I can be cool in my own weird way. And it's the same for many others. Thank you, Ney. This very channel started because of a collaboration of artists that wished to create animatics set in Neytirix-like universe. And since then, it has grown into something we could have never imagined. It turned into a whole world inhabited by silent ruins, dead cyborgs, big lizards and even bigger birds, and a whole bunch more. Our community is slowly working on expanding upon this world, and this YouTube channel would actually be set inside this universe. It is a first world building project like this for me, so it's gonna be messy. But sure as hell it would be really fun. So stick around if you want to see more, and tell me about other artists you want me to analyze. I am planning to make a video on Warhammer orcs made in the style of Crocodile Hunter, and it will be promptly called Orcs in Their Natural Habitat. And also I am creating my own Undertale AU, right on time in 2025. Is this too late? I don't care. I just want to create cool stuff with cool people, and I hope it all works out. Everyone, thank you for listening, and a blaze out.